This is a video about the connections between irises, Van Gogh paintings and Forrest Fenn in the Forrest Fenn treasure chase. This video is recorded on 20 July 2021. This is the initial link in the chain of connections. This was a newsletter trivia item in the How to Geek newsletter concerning irises, the flowers, about there being a genus of approximately 300 species of showy flowering plants around the world, deriving their name from the Greek word for rainbow, and also Iris is also the name for the Greek goddess of the rainbow. This led to a connection with one of the geographic locations in Mysolve, which was the Eye of the Needle. In Mysolve, the Eye of the Needle is near the peak of the mountain named the Needle, which is somewhere about that point there on Google Earth. This is an image of the Eye of the Needle, or the Arch, in Yellowstone, which also resembles that shape there, which is shown in the drawing from The Thrill of the Chase. The Eye of the Needle also has relevance in biblical terms through the saying, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." So perhaps there is some kind of end-of-life relevance there to Forrest, particularly when that point is joined up with Death Gulch, as in the end is ever drawing nigh. The iris may also be relevant, as that is part of the eye, as in Eye of the Needle, and also the goddess Iris is the personification and goddess of the rainbow, as in Forrest's saying on page 132 of The Thrill of the Chase, which continues on, containing 9 clues that, if followed precisely, will lead to the end of my rainbow and the treasure, which is then followed by the poem. Going back to this image here from page 95 of The Thrill of the Chase, particularly where you have this feature here which may represent the Eye of the Needle. These plants here may represent irises, even though they seem totally out of proportion, and that may be a reference to the painting named Irises by Vincent van Gogh. This is the painting named Irises, which I am referring to. Going through The Thrill of the Chase, there is also this image on page 146, and the items of interest are the starry sky and the way the moon has been drawn. The relevance of this is that it may hint at this picture, The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, in particular the moon as represented up here. Zooming in, conceivably the moon may have similarities to the drawing on page 146 of The Thrill of the Chase, particularly if it's turned on its side, and this part here, this segment here, may also represent part of the drawing beneath the dove shown in the drawing in TTOTC. The connection with this is in this interview between Forrest Fenn and Lorene Mills on 13 May 2011 at this mark here, 1512. There is reference to Elmer de Hory, or Elmire de Hory, and his role in painting possibly fake paintings, innuendos, as I believe they are called, master fleeces, or pastiches. This is a quick Google search on paintings referred to as innuendos. If you read just the introduction to those listings, it's apparent that that is a name for paintings which are meant to impersonate other painters' works. This is the definition of pastiche, which again is imitating the style of another artist or work. In this article, there is no mention of producing works similar to Vincent van Gogh. And also in this People article from 9 June 1986 about Forrest Fenn, the article refers to Forrest Fenn selling the works of the late master forger Elmer de Hory. If you search on Google Images for Elmer de Hory and Van Gogh, this painting here appears in the search results. Clicking on that link, it leads to this website at antiques-atlas.com, where this listing shows Starry Night being a work by Elmer de Hory in the style of Vincent van Gogh. Clicking through the images as part of the listing, this is the painting. There are also further enlarged parts of the painting, including the sun, the signature on the back by Elmire, and this interesting post apparently on the back of the painting with Fenn Galleries Limited, and the artist Elmer de Hory, 1911 to 1976, which is actually incorrect as the date of birth of Elmer de Hory. This is number 104 in the style of Vincent van Gogh. So it seems that Forrest Fenn and Fenn Galleries have been selling Elmer de Hory paintings, which are in the style of Vincent van Gogh, and in particular in the style of Starry Night. Going back to the Wikipedia entry for Elmer de Hory, his date of birth was 14 April 1906, which leads to the statement on pages 6 and 7 of The Thrill of the Chase. He, as in Eric Sloane, said that his habit of never dating his letters or paintings was not a careless oversight, but rather a deep personal superstition that ignoring time itself might be a secret technique to delay aging. He probably thought that up when he was about 15. Later in Who's Who, he said his birth date was 1910 instead of 1905, and he hoped his friends would forgive him that foolish prank. I wish I could be that clever. Perhaps Forrest is when he has dated the paintings or the date of birth of Elmer de Hory. This is from page 147 of The Thrill of the Chase. The relevant part is this part here, but I hope he knows that I've been sometimes guilty only by innuendo, and that's why I wrote my epitaph with such profundity. I wish I could have lived to do the things I was attributed to. The important word is innuendo, as in possibly referring to master fleeces, pastiches, or work which imitates other artists. As to the epitaph, I'm wondering whether that sentiment reflects the fact that Forrest would have preferred to have been the skilled and talented artist rather than dealing in paintings which are attributed to those types of painters. If you go to the Cal Lazar's channel on YouTube and scroll down, you'll find this video about BIP, a book which Eric Sloane apparently wrote and drew images in, the story of which is that effectively the dog Bip is attributed as painting works which imitate other artists. Perhaps this was a kind of in-joke between Forrest and Eric as to what was going on with pastiches and other works which resemble famous artists. The question which arises from all of this is whether the thrill of the chase is a tribute to Vincent van Gogh, Norman Rockwell by imitating some of his drawings, and possibly other famous artists such as Carmen Infantino. The alternative is whether in fact Forrest is subtly hinting at his involvement in producing works which imitate the great artists. Further adding to the mystery is the Medium article published in September 2020 by the finder of the Forrest Fenn treasure, which also refers to a fake blaze. Down this part of the article. When that reference is in the article, and I don't know who wrote the article or who had involvement in that article, whether the reference to the fake blaze may be a further reference to whether there are aspects of the chase and the ending to it which may have been faked in some way. Where the solution to the chase has apparently not been published, or at least not officially, by Forrest Fenn, then the query arises as to whether the chase was in some ways compromised. If you are going out into the wilderness searching for geographical features related to the Forrest Fenn chase, please take care of your safety.